Have you ever met someone who somehow becomes the victim in every single situation? They hurt someone's feelings, but somehow they are the one who was attacked. They make a mistake, but somehow it happened because no one supported them. They start the conflict, but somehow everyone else is cruel, unfair, or against them. The most confusing part is that sometimes they are not even pretending. They genuinely believe it. Once you understand this pattern, it becomes much easier to recognize why some people always see themselves as the victim, and why dealing with them can feel so emotionally exhausting. A person with a victim mindset does not simply go through difficult situations. Everyone experiences pain, disappointment, rejection, and unfair treatment at some point in life. The difference is that a person with a victim mindset begins to see life through one fixed belief. Things always happen to me, and I have no control. Over time, this belief becomes the lens through which they interpret everything. Their boss is unfair, their family does not understand them, their friends are fake, their partner is always the problem, the world always seems to be against them. At first, this behavior may look like sadness or frustration, then it may sound like constant complaining. Eventually, it becomes a pattern where nothing is ever their fault. Someone else is always responsible for their problems, their reactions, or their unhappiness. The difficult truth is that the victim mindset can become comfortable. Not comfortable in a happy way, but comfortable because it is familiar. If everything is someone else's fault, then they never have to ask themselves the harder question: what part did I play in this? Most people do not develop this mindset for no reason. Sometimes it begins with real pain. A person may have been ignored, blamed, betrayed, rejected, or deeply hurt in the past. At one point, seeing themselves as the victim may have helped them survive. It may have helped them explain their pain, protect themselves emotionally, or feel seen when no one else listened. In that way, the victim identity may have started as a defense mechanism. The problem is that a survival strategy can eventually become a prison. What once protected someone in the past can begin to damage their relationships in the present. If a person always sees themselves as the victim, they may reject any feedback that makes them feel responsible. Even gentle honesty can feel like an attack. Even healthy boundaries can feel like betrayal. Even someone saying, "that hurt me," can become, "so now I'm the bad person?" This is where relationships with them become difficult. There can also be hidden rewards in always being the victim. This does not mean the person is evil or that they are always doing it on purpose. However, the victim role can give them attention, sympathy, excuses, and protection from accountability. It can also give them control. When someone constantly presents themselves as wounded, everyone around them may feel forced to be careful. People start watching their words, apologizing when they did nothing wrong, and avoiding honest conversations because they do not want to cause another emotional reaction. Over time, the relationship can become centered only on that person's feelings, pain, and version of the story. Your experience gets pushed to the side. Your feelings become less important. Your boundaries are treated like cruelty. Your honesty is treated like an attack. This is one of the most damaging parts of dealing with someone who always thinks they are the victim. They may not only talk about being hurt, they may use being hurt to avoid responsibility. There is a big difference between someone saying, "I'm hurt, but I want to understand what happened," and someone saying, "I'm hurt, so you are wrong." A healthy person can feel pain and still reflect. They can say, "that upset me, but maybe I reacted badly too." Or, "I felt misunderstood, but I can see how my words hurt you." A person stuck in a victim mindset often cannot hold both truths at once. They cannot be hurt and responsible. They cannot be disappointed and accountable. They cannot be wrong and still feel worthy. Because of this, instead of reflecting, they defend. Instead of apologizing, they explain. Instead of changing, they blame. This is why the same problems keep repeating. Every conflict becomes another example of how they were mistreated. Every disagreement becomes proof that others do not care. Every boundary becomes evidence that they are being abandoned. They are not looking at the full situation, they are looking for details that support the story they already believe. Being close to someone like this can make you question your own reality. You may start asking yourself, am I being too harsh? Did I explain it wrong? Am I selfish for having boundaries? Or why do I always end up apologizing? Over time, you may realize that you're not really having conversations anymore. You are managing reactions. You are not solving problems. You are trying to prevent emotional explosions. You are not being heard. You are being assigned a role in their story, and usually that role is the villain. This is why people with a constant victim mindset can be so emotionally draining. No matter how much you give, it never seems to be enough. No amount of reassurance fully satisfies them. No apology seems to solve the deeper issue. Their peace depends on everyone else changing, comforting them, agreeing with them, or protecting them from discomfort. But real peace requires self-awareness. Without self-awareness, they remain trapped in the same cycle of blame, resentment, and disappointment. So how do you deal with someone like this? The first step is to stop arguing with their story forever. People who are committed to seeing themselves as the victim can turn almost every detail into evidence. If you explain your side, they may say you are invalidating them. If you set a boundary, they may say you abandoned them. If you ask for accountability, they may say you are attacking them. At some point, you have to stop trying to win the courtroom inside their mind. Instead, focus on what is real and healthy. You can acknowledge their feelings without accepting unfair blame. You might say, I understand that you feel hurt, but I am still allowed to have a boundary. You might say, I am willing to talk about this, but I'm not willing to be blamed for everything. You might say, I care about your feelings, but my feelings matter too. The goal is not to convince them that they are not a victim. The goal is to stop abandoning yourself just to keep them comfortable. The hard truth is that some people do not want healing. They want agreement. They want others to confirm their story. They want to hear, yes, everyone hurt you. Yes, nothing was your fault. Yes, you should not have to change. But healing requires something deeper than sympathy. Healing requires responsibility. Responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything. It means recognizing where you still have power. A person may truly have been hurt. They may have been treated unfairly. They may have real reasons for their pain. But at some point, the question becomes, do I want to keep proving that I was hurt? Or do I want to become free? Staying attached to the victim identity may bring sympathy, but it does not bring growth. It may explain the pain, but it does not heal it. Real freedom begins when a person stops using pain as their identity and starts seeing responsibility as a path forward. If you are dealing with someone who always thinks they are the victim, remember that you can have compassion for their pain without accepting their blame. You can understand their past without excusing their behavior. You can care about them without losing yourself. And if you recognize this pattern in yourself, that does not make you a bad person. It means you have an opportunity to grow. The goal is not to pretend you were never hurt. The goal is to stop letting pain become your entire identity. The moment a person stops asking, why does this always happen to me, and starts asking, what can I do differently from here, is the moment their story begins to change. That is where real healing starts.